Welcome back to the Quintessential podcast. I'm your host, Kyoko Shallow, here with Wiley Beats and
Hello.
a special guest. Please introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Damien. What's up?
What arc are you in your life?
My manufacturing arc, I'd say. Doing a lot of stuff with people overseas for this next BT drop
That's cool. Where are you working overseas?
in China.
All right.
Yep.
So you got hoodies and beanies?
Yeah, obviously we got the hoodies. We can do some hats, t-shirts, but I'm not gonna give too much away before it's like, before it's starting to get, the rollout,
What were some of the challenges that you had when making clothings and stuff like that?
Okay. Language barrier for sure. Making sure you get exactly what you're asking for. And learning like the fundamentals of like just the clothing pieces themselves, like learning the different fabrics, the different weights, the different like techniques of printing things or designing things like physically. But a lot of those people will help you like through them if they're like good. But thankfully all the people I've been working with are like really patient and they're wanting to make sure I get exactly what I want. So it's been good.
What is kind of the design philosophy you've been going with this specific?
So for the longest time, I have been asking myself like, what's my favorite color, right? And like I could never choose a color because I like a lot of colors. Obviously, I'm wearing orange today, but yesterday I was wearing a red outfit. Like I can't just tie myself to one color, but like I really sat down and thought about it and I was like, I think green is my color. And while we're still like starting up our brand, I feel like one thing that you brought up, brand identity, is very important. So, you have like Louis Vuitton, they have their brown, they have the brown bags, and then the lighter brown monogram on it. You got Gucci, which is like the tan color. What else? What else? Give me some designer names.
Tiffany.
Yeah, they have the teal, like the Tiffany, the bags or whatever. Balenciaga's got the blacked out, at one point, but that was Balenciaga. Oops. So I'm thinking, I'm like, what color do I resonate with and what color do I want people to like? What color do I want to put people in, And it's honestly green, and I've realized that I've always liked green. I grew up playing Zelda a lot, so yeah, that's like one of the biggest influences of me liking green. But so design philosophy for the drop, um, I like stars. That's my favorite shape, I guess, and I like outer space. It's like I don't know, super cool to me. I took astronomy or astrology, whichever.
Astronomy.
Yeah, whichever one's not the what's your zodiac sign is the actual like learning about the stars and like how they move. I took that my last semester in college and I got an A. You have a shape, you have a color, and then it's just world building from there. So like I have a few designs that I'm putting together that are they're done now. I have the samples for them, but I'm not going to be revealing them for another few months. But the philosophy, I guess, behind it is just like finding myself in like a materialistic way where it's like what color do I resonate with? What shape do I resonate with? Like what kind of clothes do I wear? And then that translates into like what I want to put people in. Like I want to show people who I am through clothing, I guess. And if people relate to it, then it's like I've found my demographic, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Kind of like taking your creativity and making it into a physical form.
Yeah, like everything.
How do you feel when you actually see someone like out in public, they wear your stuff? How does that make you feel?
So that's crazy. A few weeks ago, actually, and this is for all the old Boy Tears people. who were rocking with us last year. I saw someone downtown wearing one of the balaclavas, and I was just driving past them. I didn't say anything. I didn't stop him or anything. I did double back though. I spun the block, and I was like, "Are they really wearing that?" And they were. So it was cool seeing it. I just feel like whenever, whether it's music or clothing, if you see someone in your clothes or someone recognizes your music, I feel like it's just like a reply to your statement that you're making, whether it's putting out a song or putting out clothing. It's like, okay, I feel like, I've done my job. So I I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, that's good. It's open. I like it. I like it.
On the music side of things, you just dropped Heartbreaker.
Mm.
What was kind of the inspiration behind the cover art?
So the cover art is actually an interesting story. So last year, fall semester, I was in history of graphic design, and I love that class. It was actually my favorite class that I've taken so far. And we were watching this interview. There was a substitute teacher, and like everyone was just, goofing off and stuff. But and that like never really goes away. Like substitute teacher, like you're not paying attention to what you need to be. But when the real teacher comes in, you buck up, we were watching this like documentary on I don't know what. I wasn't paying attention. I actually just walked out and left. But before I walked out, there was this little segment talking about Muhammad Ali and the design for this magazine cover called the Esquire in 1968. It was in April 1968. I forgot who took the picture. I have it on my phone though, but it was a picture of Muhammad Ali standing with arrows and him, and he was just wearing his boxing outfit, which is his shorts and shoes, and that's it. So he was standing there shirtless with arrows all in him, and it was a statement piece because there was a lot of controversy with him going on at the time. I forgot, he was like Muslim. I could be wrong. He wasn't Christian, and there was a lot of people that were finding this controversial because his cover of the magazine was inspired by Saint Sebastian, who was 15th century, I believe. There was a picture that was painted of Saint Sebastian by this other guy, and Saint Sebastian, after a little bit of research, because like I just went down a rabbit hole after I saw this. Saint Sebastian was like, I don't know how to say it. There was a picture of him that was painted. He was like tied to a tree with arrows in him as well. He was getting scrutinized for, controversial things, and that related to Muhammad Ali at the time. And he pointed out that every arrow on him was a different person that did not like him at the time. But I don't know. That picture, like, just spoke to me, I guess. Not that I have any controversy surrounding me, but just aesthetically, I liked it. Like, I liked the composition. I liked the idea of it. And I wanted to recreate that. Now, to reiterate, this was last year. So, I never knew how to do it, and I didn't know what for. But I've been working on a bunch of songs in the past year, and this one song that I just dropped called Heartbreaker, actually, I felt like it resonated with that picture, because the song itself is kind of just like how did I word it? I was writing a press release for it. It's like, it's a song about being like, it's unrequited love. It's one-sided love where you're getting led on, abused, and you give your all to somebody and they give you nothing back and you have nothing left after. So this song was like touching on that subject, and I felt like that picture of Muhammad Ali like fit in that category, just in a different context, I guess. So I wanted to recreate that for that song, And meanwhile, I'm coming off of my last release called Oh God, which was in October. So I had that month to figure out what I wanted to do, how to get it done. And then I met Cody, who may be coming in later. And he helped me mix and master Heartbreaker, and then we got it scheduled to release. And then, he brought me to here, to Hellcat. And now we have a studio space to work out of for all of our visuals. So now I'm like, all right, we have the place to do this. I need to figure out how to do special effects makeup. And thankfully, I have a friend named Bridget who does that downtown at Joe Rich Beauty in Pensacola. And she was willing to help make that happen. And yeah, the video's out on YouTube and it's on all streaming services if you want to listen to it. And that's pretty much the story of Heartbreaker.
Kind of correct me if I'm wrong. Did Cody kind of like, was he learning production at the time when he was helping you make that?
Cody was mentoring under somebody else who does mixing and mastering professionally, like somewhere else in the country. He's been doing stuff like he's been working in music for a really long time. He actually messaged me on SoundCloud 6 months after I started dropping music as Lo-Fi Boy in 2017. I just turned 16 at the time. He was in Seattle. I was here dropping music in high school. I was like a junior. And he was like, yo, let's collab. Like, heard you're from Pensacola. That's super cool. I'm from Pensacola. We never did anything, unfortunately, because that was like peak time for me. That was a great time of my life. But earlier this year, he hit me up on Instagram. I was like, hey, I'm back in Pensacola. And like low-key, I was like, he's back in Pensacola. Like, have we talked before? Like, he's coming at me like, we've already talked. And then I found out that we did. And he said that he did mixing and mastering. And now he's my guy for that. And if you make music, I definitely recommend getting your stuff mixed and mastered by him. On Instagram is at his Playsol, Playsoo. And yeah, he's a super cool dude. He'll make sure you're happy with what you want. But yeah, that's how it's put together.
Wiley, how do you feel about just the art versus the artist? How much separation can you separate it? Is it case by case?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like case by case. Going to when I first started liking music was it was Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, Forest Hills Drive, and then Kendrick Lamar to Pimp a Butterfly. So when I was listening to that, I was really drawn to those albums. Kendrick's album for lyricism, and then J. Cole for like the storytelling. Really, because I'm trying to work on my own thing right now, is really just using BandLab and just kind of really focusing on it. Because in the beginning stages, I was just throwing a bunch of stuff all over the place and just seeing what sounded good, and then I kept deleting everything and redoing it. But as far as the art and the artist, I know there's like sometimes there's controversy pops up, but yeah, I still go back to those albums. Like they just really tell a story. As far as it goes, it is kind of tricky when it's like you're separating art from artists. I guess it's kind of how you handle it or how you take it, really, because it's you listening to the music. I mean, we're kind of really regardless of what they do in their life, because it's not us, but we like the music that they made and stuff. So yeah, it's a little tricky, but I mean, I'll truly like the songs and the songs, because they touch me on like on a personal level. Preferably my favorite on there is the intro, where it's like that piano and J. Cole's like, do you wanna do? And it's like, that's really short. I mean, it's really cool. It really touched and actually inspired me to make music. One of the small things that. So I hope that answered your question. I was all over the place, but
That's good.
Kind of didn't, but it's okay.
it's all right.
To kind of put it in perspective, I know there's a lot of jokes around just the whole like, oh, I better not see you listening to R. Kelly.
Yeah, I was trying not to go.
But well, we're
feel
gonna
like
go
it
somewhere.
makes it brings it. Yeah, it
Yeah,
brings a good point.
I feel like there's
But-
levels to it. I
It's like
mean,
this are headphone only music.
But also,
now.
let's say like Michael Jackson.
mm-hmm.
At
Yeah.
the time, how many people thought he was completely guilty of doing things,
Right.
but they still listen to all his music,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and no one really questions it whether he's guilty or not guilty. So it's also interesting to see like the quote unquote public opinion. Is it really just a loud minority? Because at the end of the day, Drake still outsold everybody without dropping
Oh,
a
100%.
project.
Yeah, that Take Care album definitely came back. I remember at one point it was after for a while it came back up on the top Billboard, or is that or nothing was the same or something. It was
So people are
came
still
back.
listening to the music. Or I think also taking a step back from even that, I think the way current algorithms work with social media is very easy to get stuck in a bubble of people that think the same way. And as that bubble gets bigger and bigger, you think, oh, I'm seeing all this stuff. The only thing I see online on all my different platforms has this opinion of this thing you may not really care about. So you're not going to look deeper into it. It's like if everybody's saying this, it has to be true. But then if you look deeper into the topic, it may be the exact opposite. And the only people talking about it are the people on the other side of something. I think another interesting point, going back to just algorithms in general, is digging the greats. Credit him for the video, did a 30-day iPod challenge, and the conclusion of the video, because I won't kind of talk too much about the process, was he put down his phone and he said the phone is like a Swiss Army knife. But then he asked a very relevant question. If you needed to cut a bunch of wrapping paper to wrap presents for Christmas, are you going to use a real pair of scissors or the pair of scissors on the Swiss Army knife? If you need to put together a king-size bed, you going to use a tiny screwdriver on the Swiss Army knife or an actual screwdriver? And the point of that is to say that we right now have convenience, but convenience isn't always the best tool for the job. And we get so wrapped up in the algorithms, it's an addiction to say the least. But putting down the phone, he said he reclaimed his life and a better way of living. So I'm like, okay, I'll take some things from this video, try it myself and see what happens. And I did notice, I'm like, the amount of stress and worry I have just from looking at the phone screen, it's just sometimes too much information to take in, and you forget about the things around you, the simple things, the things that matter in this moment. Because it's like a celebrity breaking up is not going to affect tomorrow for you. But also, it's like, I think disconnecting is an important thing to kind of do in practice, because you get so consumed that now everything in your whole life is on the screen and you can't even see what's outside.
Right. You're taking in content. You're buying things. Right. You know, this is more for content rather than buying things. Okay, whatever. You're taking in content. You're doom scrolling on Instagram, but now it's 5 hours later. Like, did you take in all that content, or did that content take your time away from you? You know what I mean? Because like I found myself in bed for hours, just scrolling on random videos of stuff that I know I don't care about, but why am I still doing it? You know? And now it's hours later and I've lost the day.
I guess one perspective is like, do we remember every video that we?
Definitely not.
It's,
No,
it's like, oh, you know,
I find the ones that are funny and I send them to my friends like in abundance, and they don't even look at them, you know, or like vice versa. Like, you know, it's very fast paced and not tangible.
that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
That's just how you, I guess, manage your time. And if it's because there's some videos I'll actually go back to
Yeah, for
and
sure.
be like,
There's-
oh, I need this is actually pretty important, or
Right.
this was like super super funny, like
Mhm.
that was above all.
Yeah, but
to where you
in
sort it
between
out.
all those ones, you have like 100 videos that have nothing, no benefit to you whatsoever,
Right,
and you're spending your time on them.
100 videos per one good one.
Right.
Something else to think about is everything is an ad now. So the social media apps, their whole goal is how can I keep this person on my website or app as long as
Right.
possible.
Oh yeah.
That's why everything's a built-in browser. You can buy stuff directly from there.
Yeah.
The text and messaging features keep getting upgraded, video calls, all that, because they want you to stay on their app as long as possible so you can see the most amount of ads to make them the most amount of
Yeah.
money.
I always found that was interesting because you ever come across like with the algorithm that you like you haven't heard a song that you've liked a long time ago, and then the Instagram or the algorithm hits it, and it's like wow, and then it's like sauce after sauce after sauce.
What do you mean?
Like if you liked a video a long time ago, say like this one really good song,
Okay.
and then you kind of forget it, and then
Mhm.
the algorithm kind of brings it back up to you, and then it's like, oh, you like that one? Do you remember you listening to this one and this one?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Instagram's definitely watching, That's
Mhm.
their job too.
Yeah, I think everything right now is just a bunch of funnels.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Make something perfect, but I feel like the content we're consuming, if everything's made for you, it kind of slowly dulls out.
It dulls out, and I guess the less willpower you have, the less, mental stability, not in like a mental illness way, but like just like resisting urges, like your ability to resist urges and what you let yourself consume, I guess is what you're going to get, if you are watching more than 5 seconds of like a random Instagram meme, you're going to get another one eventually and then another one. But if you're like only watching videos on how to do things in music and video production, you're going to get more of those too. So it's like up to you. You just got to be smart.
What do you think actually draws? Because I remember you brought it up as well. Like where when you scroll like just through video or reels or what's something that actually stops you and say, oh, and you watch the whole thing, share
We're
it,
talking about
save it.
personally or just in general standpoint.
I'd say kind of both, or just
So,
hands.
I think in general, a lot of techniques, because a lot of people, their whole content is telling you how to make content, which is ironic because
Mm-hmm.
they have no actual, videos made. They're just saying this is how you do it. This is the format, which is interesting.
Yeah,
But
it's like, is it the format they're advertising or is it the format that their video's in?
so
You know?
like using sound cues a lot, it has to catch your attention, and also for longer videos, unanswered questions right away.
Right.
That's why it's like, did you know? Or like a weird fact. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Let me know. I want to know more about it. Then they go into the video.
Mhm.
Or have you ever thought about it sparks something to where it makes you pause and think? Or it's like, oh, what was that noise?
All right.
Something that catches your attention. Because you think about how fast people scroll from video to video. You got the first second or two,
Second,
Mm-hmm.
probably
Yeah,
just
it's
a
like 2
second,
seconds.
to kind of lock somebody in.
Right.
definitely say go off your senses. It's like, oh, that's really pretty. What is that? Or oh, I love
Yeah.
that. Like,
It's usually it's usually a good song or something
Yeah.
that I know I like already, like a video game or something. But I guess generally it's I don't know what it would be generally because everyone's different and everyone has their own personal version of that,
mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, lately, like I said, I've been off social media a lot more. Unless I'm posting something, then I'll let that rock, read the comments, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But the doom scrolling, I'm like, instead of doing this, I could be creating something myself.
Oh yeah.
Because at least lately for me, I haven't really found interest in YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Because some Austin Klein said was the book you want to read the most is the one you're supposed to write.
Mm-hmm.
That applies to so many different things. The videos you want to see are the ones you're supposed to create. The song you want to hear the most is the one you're supposed to write
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or
makes
sing.
sense.
Yeah. Kind of
So-
reminds me.
Go ahead.
Kind of reminds me of Vine, like where it's like what 6-second videos
Yeah, it's
and
6
people
seconds
got
to,
famous off just like what you can do in 6 seconds.
And here's the thing, it's like you got 6 seconds. That was your limit. That was your cutoff. And I feel like people can ingest 6 seconds fully without judging.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can post like however many, like 10, what is it on TikTok? 10 minutes now?
You can have
Oh,
a
wow.
45-minute video.
Or whole
thing.
yeah,
They're
Yeah.
trying. TikTok's trying to compete with YouTube.
Yeah, it's like you can do that now. But like back in the day, people had to get more creative to fit something in 6 seconds because the producers only had 6 seconds and the consumers only had 6 seconds. The consumers can consume something in 6 seconds in full. But now we're working with keeping their attention for more than 2 seconds on our, videos that are minutes long. It's a different time.
It's pretty interesting.
Honestly, the way the algorithms are working now is almost scary. Because like I said, the more you're on it, the more blind you see to what's happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it is a literal addiction to where you'll open TikTok or Instagram, scroll for a little bit, be like, this is a waste of time. close the app, look for something else to do, and reopen Instagram and not even realize it.
I guess different perspective. Just having a song go viral and being used that many times, it's like, damn, like I'm contributing like third party to this addiction that people are having because people are making all these videos and millions of people are watching those too.
Well, I think what you said goes into kind of a deeper thing to where like you're almost forced to play the game,
Mm-hmm.
even if it doesn't benefit you. 'Cause like I said, I may not be the one doom scrolling anymore because I kind of forced myself to stop that. But if I post a reel that still gets thousands, millions of views,
Mm-hmm.
I'm contributing to the doom scrolling, even if my content is thoughtful. People still see it for a few seconds and scroll. And maybe that counts, maybe that doesn't. I'm not sure how the number counter works on the respective platforms, but still. And it's like, if everything's about ads, like let's say your channel's not monetized, YouTube will still play ads on your video. And that goes to, a pot that then pays everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what is the answer then? Write a book? But you still got to advertise the book.
Right.
I think it's just really, it goes back to, I guess, brand identity. What is it that we really stand for? And is it
Mhm.
like, like you look at a logo or just listen to a song and then you know exactly where it's at. And then I guess your identity and purpose is like, are you, you go into the artist, are they actually learning, like, are they doing good, or what's their intentions and stuff
Mhm.
with this? And it's, I guess sometimes it takes time to actually kind of figure it out, because some people can be like, oh wow, this is really great, and then it's like, oh, they turn,
Mhm.
it switches.
100%.
I guess kind of like the art and artist
Yeah.
kind of.
I think another word is just integrity in general. It's like, what is the goal with what you're doing? If it is just to, like, are you selling somebody a philosophy, or are you selling somebody a product?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And is it a philosophy disguised as a product? Like, hey, to be a real man, you have to do this, this, and this. And I can teach you the rest of it when you buy this, course. Go to this website.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what
Know
I'm
some
saying?
people like that.
You prey on people's insecurities to
Yeah.
then push your own agenda. You don't really care about other people's well-being.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to make money.
Right.
But it's like current corporate work environments are so toxic that you might as well do your own. And I'm like, integrity is lost, but it's like the other solution isn't good either to
Right.
certain points. So really, who's wrong at the end if you're looking out for yourself? If money wasn't a thing and you could do whatever you want, what would you do?
I guess it would be, if money wasn't a thing, there would be no purpose for doing things besides doing it for yourself, unless doing things gave you something that wasn't money but still held the same value as money, I guess, like another necessity. You know what I mean?
I somewhat disagree with that. I got a little different perspective. If money wasn't a thing, I feel like,
Well, I'm not saying, or I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, like, if money wasn't a thing and there wasn't something to replace money, then you're just doing stuff because you love it, right?
yeah, I think Colby, the other third of Quintessential, brought up a good point. He was talking about how greed isn't necessarily a bad thing because greed is really just ego. And he put it like this: greed doesn't become a problem until competition arises. Then it becomes the dog eat dog world.
Bless you.
Then people start getting stepped on to get more money because there's a competition, and like, I want my number to be higher than yours, whatever way that manifests. So I think if money wasn't exactly a thing, I feel like greed could still be a thing, but there would be more incentive for people to, like, if you didn't have to worry about different things like where am I going to eat, how am I going to pay rent,
Right.
you'll probably move a little differently, talk to people a little differently.
For sure. But I also feel like humanity, regardless of what it is going to find something that someone else doesn't have, and then everyone's going to fight for it.
Yeah. Another example of that is Timmy Turner episode with the gray blobs, to where start of the episode, Timmy and his friend kick a ball over the fence, picks it up and is like, your teeth aren't as straight as mine, so this ball can't be yours. You don't deserve this ball because your teeth aren't as straight. So then Timmy wishes for everybody to be gray blobs, the exact same. Same scenario happens, kick the ball to the fence. They look at him and he's like, "Ha, we're all the same now. Give me my ball back." They say, "No, I'm greater than you." So I guess classism could always be a thing. It's where people will be like, I'm born with this color eye. I'm born with this.
Are we saying that? So the answer to the problem is accept the differences rather than make everyone the same.
Well, not necessarily, because here's the thing. So in when we talk about diversity, there's like a spectrum, if you will. And it's a very interesting spectrum to where you think about, if we bring back to the classroom example, because I'm a teacher, they teach us this in the diversity class if you were taking one in college. It's like you go from the far end of the spectrum, racism, right?
Right.
Then you go to like, it's like toleration. I'm not using the exact terms, but just trying to paint the picture. Then you go to color blindness, right? But that's not the end step, because your culture is important. And if you're saying everybody's the same, then you take away the culture that makes people unique. You have to understand the differences, not compare the differences. And that was the final step of the diversity kind of spectrum. Not comparing differences, but understanding differences, so then you can treat that person in the best way possible.
Right.
Or just understand that person fully.
Yeah, it's accepting being different.
At least going back to I guess just for a personal example was if you didn't really have money for it, or if money wasn't really a thing, would there still be like differences? One is I do game streaming and music. I'm not making any money off of that, and I mean, if I go throughout my whole career without making even a dollar on it, I would still feel fulfilled.
Right.
Because the one thing, at least what I want to do that's beyond money, is when I go, I have something I can leave behind that's actually like tangible, like a song or
Right.
a game streaming. And even when it came to game streaming, my friend Super, he when he was streaming, he kind of got me into streaming because I guess he was really particular on how he wants to make his videos and do this and that, or people are going to like this. His girlfriend said, just do what you want, and then people will just like it. They'll watch it. If they don't, then they just don't.
Right.
So that's kind of what I've been focusing on. And when, at least like for game streaming, it's like, I want to play this game, like come along, eat your soup or stuff. Because that's kind of what that I did when I started. Because there's this guy named Spears. He played video games, and he didn't really over edit his videos. It was just really him just playing the game.
Yeah.
And I watched all the way up until he was caught up, because I just enjoyed it. It wasn't like, and then I guess at that point where if he was selling a shirt, it's like, oh man, I really like you. I think you're really cool. I'm willing to support and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of one way to kind of filter that, your legacy, your image, your identity. But then again, things can change at any moment. So
Yeah. To some extent, I've kind of seen the evolution of YouTube, or been watching long enough to the people that actually talk about the issues of it, to see kind of the change, to where originally it was variety. It's like if you had a cool video, you had a chance of people watching it. Then they started niching everything down with the new algorithms and stuff over changes. And then it was like, I can only play this one game that I hate now because I've been playing it for 3 years straight. But if I post anything else, no one will watch it, because they say, oh, this channel does this. Oh, it's in a different category. They don't want to watch that.
Right.
And then the whole like people unsubscribing for unknown reasons, or you like looking like, I swear I subscribed to this person, but now I'm not. And it's like, oh, check the bell, do this and that, and now you gotta do extra stuff just to make sure you see the video. When you think about it, YouTube's literally the largest video library and probably one of the greatest resources we have to mankind now, I would almost say.
Yeah.
It's crazy to say that, thinking like,
I was trying to find another source of YouTube, because at one point there was another kind of YouTube. Was it? I forgot what it was.
they start with a V.
Yeah, something. I think on that topic, didn't you mention something about like death of an artist in that realm of kind of like around that?
It's a little different from this, but just like you think of Emily Dickinson, right? To where all of her poetry and the things she wrote, she never wanted anybody to hear. But she died, and then they published all her stuff, and now she's in every literature class in America.
That's crazy.
And you think of just in general, a painter that paints all the time and never wants their stuff to be seen, but now, or never sold and was struggling and died struggling, or some even killed themselves struggling. And now all of a sudden, because of that, their work is worth $1 million or
Right.
more than that, because now they consider it rare. And it's like, oh, we'll never get any more from this artist again. But I'm like, you didn't care about the artist when he was living, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Bringing it to another example, you look at the current status of how they're handling X and Juice WRLD's
Yeah, I was
releases,
gonna bring that up.
and there's just seemingly a lack of care. But something I brought up, we're not in the camp. We didn't talk to the people. We don't know what they wanted. We just have the public perception of a lot of things, whether we see it or not. I personally see it as like there's a lot of lazy music that's not fully put together,
Mm.
and it loses the essence of what the artist was representing and the things they were doing. Just because you have a verse doesn't always mean it needs to come out.
Mm.
But then it's like he made so much music and he was supposed to have such an impact, so let's put it out to the world. Both sides I can definitely see, but at the end of the day, it's like,
Yeah, what's the right thing
what
to do?
is the right thing to do? But also our opinions on this technically don't matter. The
Mhm.
ones making decisions are the people close to him, and it's the state, or sometimes sadly the record label. Because I think I watched something on it, which you would have to fact check, that Juice WRLD still has to fulfill his quote unquote contract
That's
after he's
insane.
dead. That's why you're getting so many projects randomly. But kind of going back to being more on topic, it's like if someone stops doing something and disappears, that thing then becomes more valuable to people because there's no more of it.
Mhm.
It's almost like a sense of complacency when it comes to those things.